let's take a look at the following clips for more.
Ecuador is a country where over 80% of the population is Catholic, and this was a celebration of the Catholic faith here in Bicentenario Park in Quito. People began camping outside of the park on the sidewalks even before Pope Francis arrived to the country on Sunday.
Pope Francis is meeting right now with members of civil society in San Francisco Church, and people are lining the streets, hoping to catch a glimpse of Pope Francis as he makes his way from San Francisco Church to the Compañía Church, and that's where he will have a private tour this evening.
Opposition marchers attacked police officers with metal tubes, rocks, and pointed sticks, and 4 police officers were hospitalized due to the injuries sustained.
Here at the official inauguration of the UNASUR headquarters, Secretary General Ernesto Samper, Argentine President Cristina Fernandez, and Ecuador's President Rafael Correa spoke of the need for continued cooperation to further regional integration. Foreign ministers and representatives of the 33 SLAC member states are here in Quito to discuss the objectives of the regional body's 2020 agenda. The agenda is focused on 5 primary areas, which include the reduction of extreme poverty and inequality, strengthening of science and technology, creating a united front to combat climate change and to protect the environment, infrastructure development and connectivity, and investment for development projects. Meetings and workshops will be held across Ecuador's provinces with indigenous and campesino organizations in an effort to further incorporate small-scale producers in the national economy, open the market for their goods, and promote social justice. President of Uruguay, who is the president pro tempore of the UNASUR body, Tabre Vasquez, has just arrived here to where we are now at the Carondelet Presidential Palace in Quito. He spoke to the press outside of the palace and said that he hopes that an agreement can be reached in the near future between Colombia and Venezuela. Ash is still thick in the air, but Joaquin said his family came here because they believe this greater distance will help protect the health of their herd.
We say that the volcano is a neighbor for us, that protects us, that has given us water, it has given us everything. But what is most painful about this is that it has taken away our sense of calm with the eruption and the ash.
Conventional hysterectomy has a 13% rate of complications, while with the Da Vinci robot, this percentage drops to 1% of patients.
This is a surgery of minimal intervention. I can make incisions of 5 millimeters, of 8 millimeters, where the ports of the robot can enter. And through these ports, I can make all the movements that I perform in an open surgery.
On a visit to Agua Rico 4, one of the nearly 1,000 oil pits left by Texaco in the region, Menchu said the impunity cannot be tolerated. She called on indigenous communities to unite to make sure such environmental disasters, with all their dire social consequences, never happen again.
This is putting these communities' way of life at risk. We know that this contamination has resulted in allergies, cancer, and other sicknesses.
Former leaders of CONAI have said that they disagree with the new leadership's tactics and the violence seen in this past month of protest.
They are affiliated with politicians of Ecuador's right-wing political parties. So this is the first sign of how this uprising is different from what happened more than 25 years ago.
I think that the region is in the best conditions to try to strengthen the political dialogue that has served as reference point for UNASUR, topics such as fight against social inequality.
I would have placed Ecuador among the countries where there was the most child labor in Latin America 10 years ago, and now it is one of the countries with the least.
Ecuador's 2008 constitution prohibits child labor, and various government entities have prioritized programs for its eradication. The goal of the National Good Living Development Plan is that child labor will be eradicated by 2017, making it an injustice of the past.
Antes teníamos vergüenza de que por qué era esto, pero a la realidad, viéndose bien, oiga, yo me siento orgullosa de ser gestora, porque aparte de que hay tantas empresas, pero esta es que estamos cuidando el ambiente para que no siga contaminando. que nosotros sí somos valiosas. Si no hubiéramos nosotros, ni las empresas existieran.
On January 8, 1988, Santiago and Andres Restrepo Arizmendi drove to the airport in Quito to see off a friend. It was a trip from which the 17 and 14-year-old boys would never return. 27 years later, their father, Pedro Restrepo, is still searching for answers.
Nosotros habíamos ido a unas cortas vacaciones de 2 días a la playa con unos familiares que habían venido de Colombia. Ahí fue donde los chicos se quedaron, iban a hacer sus actividades y fueron secuestrados por la policía. Y regresamos el domingo en la noche no, a las 4 de la tarde, y nos encontramos con esa noticia de que hacía 2 días los chicos no aparecían.
Foreign sex workers are often drawn to Ecuador by its dollarized economy and the desire to remain anonymous in their profession. Sofia, a sex worker from Colombia, said that she felt like it would not be possible to protect her privacy if she worked within her own country.
Bueno, yo vine por medio de una amiga que conocí. En mi país no puedo trabajar porque tengo familia, ¿sí? Y todavía hay mucha discriminación en mi país, como acá y en otras partes, nos discriminan bastante. Entonces, uno busca otras partes donde la familia uno no lo conoce. De mí depende 2 hijos, depende otras personas. Creo que tenemos los derechos y deberían de tenernos más en cuenta.
Mire, yo no me creo ejemplo de nadie, de nada ni para nadie, pero mi pensamiento político, económico, social siempre se ha inspirado en la doctrina social de la Iglesia. Es verdad que dejé de leer un poco los documentos cuando se enfatizó más el rito, lo moral que lo social, con el Papa Francisco, con su exhortación apostólica Evangelii Gaudium, la alegría de evangelizar, su encíclica Laudato Si. He retomado esa lectura con voracidad de los documentos de la Iglesia porque está hablando muy claro de cosas muy profundas y vamos a seguir ese pensamiento y ojalá todos lo sigamos y nos podamos sentar a dialogar, que no significa contentar a todo el mundo, pero significa procesar los conflictos adecuadamente.
This isn't a piece about specifically domestic violence or domestic abuse, but more the culture that happens around it, that it's not talked about in a productive way and it is talked about in a selling it sort of way and in a fascination sort of way.
After the inauguration of the Panama Canal, Toquilla straw hats were exported to the world. They were made in Ecuador and unfortunately they were called and became known as the Panama hat. It took the identity of the hat from the country, where it was called the Hippie Hapa hat or the Manabita hat or the Ecuadorian hat, but the work and production has always been here in the country.
Families bring the favorite foods of their departed relatives to share at the site, sometimes leaving portions of chicken, rice, fruit, and stews on the graves themselves. Sandalwood is burned throughout the cemetery.
Because the smoke, more than just having a smell like tobacco, it is consumed by the souls. We give all these little things here and we pour some soda. This is for my mama, my dad, my husband, my kids, my mother-in-law, for everyone. We always come every year. It would be nice if we could physically be together, but here we are, and the food that touches the air fills their stomachs and goes to their souls.
El momento que se mastica el hambre, cuando se vive con el hambre, el artista puede reflejar en su pintura todo este medio que le rodea, todas estas angustias, todas estas alegrías, todas estas necesidades, todas estas injusticias e igualmente la violencia que le toca a él vivir en el siglo XX. Entonces, eso es su pintura, es un grito desesperado en favor de los humildes de la tierra.
Lo más representativo de la taracea son los vargueños. Estos vargueños vienen desde lo que es España, desde épocas de la colonia. Trajeron los españoles. Aquí siempre ha habido los vargueños, aquí en Quito. y uno más bonito que el otro. Cada vargueño es
el
único.
Resultado de todo nuestro esfuerzo, que a pesar de que estamos acá o a veces que tanto decimos nos escuchan, escuchó el programa el sábado, escuchó tal, la gente sí nos escucha, sí nos oye y valora lo que estamos haciendo.
A través de nuestra voz tienen que imaginarse lo que estamos diciendo. Cuando hicimos un programa de imágenes de nuestra tierra, que hablamos de Colombia, México y Ecuador, porque somos las principales culturas que estamos en la radio, tratábamos de hacer eso, que si hablábamos de que te comes un taco y le exprimes un chorrito de limón y con salsa de grano, queríamos que las oyentes se imaginaran lo que estábamos haciendo, invitarlos a que salieran corriendo a comer después del programa.
Welcome to today's web serial. My name is Liz Scherffius, and today we're examining the genre of psychological drama, which has become a popular art form since the fall of various dictatorships throughout Latin America. Let's go there for more. Through music, the new generations of Guatemala's indigenous people are struggling to break the stereotypes that have been assigned to them. With modern rhythms, but in Mayan languages, a fresh musical project attempts to convey a message of harmony to the Central American nation. Thank you for joining us as we learn about these cases of inequality in Latin America. My name is Liz Scherffius for Telesur, and we invite you to join us next time.